Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's Natter. Thanks for all the feedback. It's been absolutely brilliant. So obviously it's live on my Facebook, but also live on my YouTube channel as well. So if you've not subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please do. And feel free to share it with anybody as well. The feedback from last week from my mum's interview was absolutely brilliant. So many people loved the fact that they were hearing from someone that's been in the network marketing industry for 25 years and having such an amazing success story. And obviously retiring on a pretty amazing income as well. Tonight, I have a totally different guest, somebody who's working with me currently at the moment, or let's say she runs her own business. She doesn't need my help and support anymore because she can do all of it herself, but we have become very, very good friends. So I didn't know Gemma at all. She was actually following me on Facebook quite a few years ago, sent me a message out of the blue saying she wanted to speak to me to find out a little bit more about what I do. Gemma's totally different to me. Lots of you think, that I just work with mums because I'm a mum. And yes, a lot of the people I do work with are mums, but Gemma hasn't got children. She is very corporate, so very different to my background. And Gemma was actually a store manager for John Lewis. So she'd worked her way up the corporate plan and become a store manager. And then, well, I'll let Gemma tell you her story. So please give her some love hearts as she comes on. Feel free to ask us any questions as well in the comments. We'll do our best to answer them as we go through. But Gem, say hi to everyone. Welcome to Nat's Natter.
Good evening. It's lovely to be on Nat's Natter, and happy New Year to everybody as well. It's probably a little bit late to say that, but in case we haven't caught up, wishing everybody a great new year.
So Gemma, you called me out the blue. We didn't know each other at all. Can you just explain to people a little bit about where you were in your life, where you were in your career, and what made you give me that call?
Yeah, sure. So it was the very end of September 2013, and I'd gone into hospital for a very minor operation. It was to have an ovarian cyst removed, and what happened in my life at that time was I was forced to stop and to slow down because I was facing a situation that was out of my control. So as Nat said, my background is retail. I'd worked with John Lewis department stores since the age of 18. I loved what I did, and I had sacrificed an awful lot to climb the corporate ladder, namely, I guess, time with my partner, time with family. My own health at times was compromised, and I had some time for me. And one of the things I started to do in the September was use one of his products. I used the drinking gel to help my immune system strengthen up from having that general anaesthetic. And I guess I was
wanting that right now as well. I mean, haven't the sales flown with the immune system?
Yeah. And I have to say, and I know this isn't about necessarily product recommendation, but it really is effective. And for me at that time, it was extremely effective in helping me. And I guess that's what grew my confidence in these products. And that's what caused me to look at the company behind the products. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say at that point in my corporate career, I was close to 14 years into a corporate career, that I'd never thought about running my own business. Maybe there's people on here tonight who can relate to a feeling of, I've got more to give, or I've got more to explore in life. And that was like this permanent itch that never used to go away. But I'd looked at things, maybe setting up what I would class as maybe hobby style businesses, ideas that were more dependent on me, that needed more of my time while I was working. Nothing that I looked at was really feasible. So when I looked at Forever as a vehicle to kind of start my own business and explore that, not only did I see products that I was using and enjoyed, but I saw a business that was viable because I could do it while I was still working. And I guess my stance at that time, Nat, you know, and you know this better than anybody from the conversation we had, I was committed to at least 50 hours a week in my corporate job because I had such a lengthy commute. You know, it was about 100 miles a day on a motorway on top of hours of work, and also having to be available to move around the country at some point in the month as well for different meetings. So I was very short of time. So this felt like the perfect fit because it was so flexible around what I was doing.
I have to say, Gem, as well, you know, some of the things that you've said right then, I've had a lot of inquiries from people recently since the pandemic, because I think there's so many people actually reevaluating what they want. And like you said, you had time for you, time to think, which made you think, you know, is this what I want to be doing for the rest of my working career? And, you know, our industry is growing right now because of the fact that it does have that flexibility. So you were in hospital, recovering, using the products. And it's interesting as well, we have a lot of people that join us from having used the products because they see the success of them. But equally, as many people join us having never experienced the product at all. But you obviously had used it and you were thinking, what made you actually give me a call? You know, I didn't know that you knew me or had been stalking me, as we like to say. What made you do it there and then, and why me? You know, how does someone choose?
It's a really interesting question. I think often we're guided by our instinct and how something or someone makes us feel. And for me at that time, I suppose I'd looked at the business, I'd used a product, and there was no question that the business worked. There was no question that the products were effective. So I knew the only real variable for me then was going to be my effort, but also the connection and the support I had with somebody who would hold my hand and help me get started and build a business. So what I chose to do, Nat, was, you know, independently, I just thought, okay, let's have a little look at different people in the UK who I feel would be a good fit for me. And, you know, I know our backgrounds are very different, and obviously your priority at that time, you had a very young family, was your children. I don't have children, but I could see that your style, your lifestyle, and I could also see the style in which you worked with people could be a good fit for me. You know, I remember on that, a second call I think we had, I remember saying to you, please never ever make me choose between John Lewis and this, because my corporate job will always win, because that's my livelihood. It's where my loyalty is. But what I know is that I've got a work ethic and I really want to make this work. So together we can make this happen. And it just felt right, Nat. That's the only way I can describe it. And I'm sure if people have sat and maybe watched you on Facebook for a long period of time, like I was, or maybe there's people been sitting on the sidelines watching me, you know what your instinct and your gut tells you. You know whether you've got a connection with somebody or not. And it was the right time. I needed a change to make sure I was not going to live with regret of, well, am I destined to be an entrepreneur or not? But the other thing that was happening at home at that time, which I don't think I really shared that much with you on our first call, you know, Gary, my partner, he'd felt the brunt of the 2008 recession, and we were still deep in pressure financially from that. And, you know, that was like our COVID back then in business. Horrendous. And you know how long it's taken, you know, it's taken almost up to this point to kind of come through all of that. And I needed a way of creating an extra income. You know, on the surface, my corporate job was great. You put on a professional front at work, you've got a job to do. But behind closed doors, we also had a need that we needed a solution to the financial mess that we were in. So that was the other thing at the time. And I knew that if I was going to explore that, it had to be with somebody who I felt like I could trust, who would make me feel comfortable and take it at the pace that was right for me.
Yeah, so people do watch for a long time, don't they? And well, you know, I did exactly the same, but it happened to be my mum. You know, I was watching my mum for 10 years, and it wasn't until I was at a point in my life, a crossroads, if you like, where I was looking for change. I needed that flexibility to be mum, because like you say, that was important to me. And obviously I was going to work directly with my mum because I knew she was going to hold my hand. I had that relationship straight away. But for other people looking, it is really important that you like the person that you're speaking to and you have that Me Too situation, because you do work very much hand in hand for, you know, and well, for however long it takes for you. And Gem, you were very different to a lot of the people that I've worked with, because I didn't have to hold your hand too tight for so long, because you're very independent, and you know that was your style to kind of, you know, do it yourself with a little bit of guidance here and there from me, whereas other people that have mentored, you know, I've literally done it all together with them along the way. So, and I'm sure, you know, you yourself work with different people differently depending on their needs. And for me, that's the beauty of it. The one thing that I love is every day is very, very different. So a lot of things people ask me, and I'm sure they ask you as well, is what is a typical day? But I'm going to do this in two ways, Gem, because we've got a typical day a year ago and a typical day now since the pandemic, because the business has totally changed. And I'll have to say, after 15 years, sorry, for me, for the better. What would you say a day pre-COVID and a day post-COVID, or during COVID, whatever we want to call it now, post soon, I hope?
Yeah, pre-COVID, I'm not going to say I was a dinosaur, but technology, you know that I didn't build a business on social media, for the first year. That wasn't how the business grew. It was very traditional conversations, seeing people face to face, discussing business or products over coffee, over dinner. We'd go into people's homes sometimes if that was right for them, to share the products, to share the business. And when I was, transitioned out of corporate to then running the business on a full-time basis, a year ago, gosh, the amount of motorway miles, huge, because the people who I do work with directly, I'm very committed to helping them have the best possible start. And what that means is spending whatever amount of time they need, and everybody's different, to get going. So that's why sometimes, I would be traveling a lot. Now,
the difference in fuel I'm spending now, let alone the miles on my Range Rover, are far less than they normally are, literally doing, well, not even a quarter of the miles.
Totally. And, and even for people accessing training, that, if you think about a lot of our self-development, the team self-development and growth, or people coming to just see what the company was about, committing to being in a particular location or coming to a physical live event. And none of that at the moment is relevant. So if we think about if I think about what does a day look like for me now, well, what I've learned over this last year is it is possible to build a business 100% online. So if people have a preference to be at home, to work flexibly, to literally not go out, maybe their preference is that they don't mingle with people, then it is totally possible to do that. So the same coaching and support goes on. The business progression and the development of people, I'm going to be honest, it's moved a bit quicker, because we've cut out the traveling time. We've cut out some of the complexity of the business and the number of skills we needed to, learn a year ago.
As well, Gem, we can work closer with a lot more people because we've got more time. So people that have introduced people, we're able to be a lot more hands-on, aren't we?
Very much so, and if somebody had said to me, I've had this question loads this past month or so, people asking me who I've been chatting to about the business, can you build a product-based business online? Is it possible without the customer physically touching or experiencing product? Had I been asked that question in February or March of 2020, I would have been unsure, because my business was so much about experience and people touching product. But what we found is it's actually grown more because people enjoy the convenience of online. They're enjoying the interaction of Zoom calls around products. But there's a big thing with our company, which is you've got a 60-day money back guarantee on products, even products have been used. And that's not a case of the products didn't work for me. That's a case of, I didn't really like that. Now, now our returns rate is virtually, next to nothing. But that's a huge, huge deal, having that money back guarantee at a time like we're in now, because what it means is when you are working online like we are, there's a real confidence, not just for the business owner when they're recommending something, but also for the customer, and what I found is the customer wants drop shipping to their door very quickly, safely, by a carrier like FedEx who we use, but then to have the confidence that if that's not the right product for them, because they've not been able to test it, that's okay, and there's a lot of people out there wanting to try different products or, check makeup against their skin and stuff, and you can't access testers like you used to. So, that's been a key part, actually, of business growth online this year for a lot of new business owners as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're probably the same as me. You've not been in the business quite as many years as me, but we all have people that stop and start. And in fact, I started this business, stopped it, and then started again myself a few years later. However, since the pandemic, I've had loads and loads of team reach out to me to get started again, particularly because we can simply do it locked in from our home, and because all of that traveling, that having to go out in the evening doesn't happen. I mean, for me, kids are upstairs now and I'm doing this for 30 minutes. Whereas before, I would have been maybe going in my car for an hour to someone's house or whatever. Have you found that as well? And how has your team dynamics changed and the people that you're helping?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Across the team at the moment, there is a really good, different, healthy mixture of personalities, backgrounds, different priorities that people have. And, platforms like Zoom have made it possible to bring people together on a daily basis if they want to create, large virtual offices where people have the privacy through muting themselves or turning their cameras off if they want to work or to interact. And certainly community would be one of the words that I think best describes
it's amazing
business that we have at the moment.
Yeah, the friendships, my close ones have made since the pandemic has been incredible, and they haven't actually met people in person, but they're not feeling so alone, if that's, the right word to use.
Yeah, and, Nat, from your years in the business of working with different people join for their own set of reasons or their own set of circumstances, and it isn't always about I want a successful business or I need more money, or it's very often not about the material things. For many people this year, they've found if they've been unsettled in their job or unfortunately they've lost their job, people's confidence has started to kind of reduce, shrink. And some of that has just been because the community that they used to be part of in their jobs, the routine that they used to have has changed through no fault of their own. So forever, doesn't always have to be about business for people. It can be about friendship. It can be about community. It can be about personal development or learning a new skill, doing something totally different to grow. And again, this year, we've seen that, we've seen that it's different for everybody. And that is so healthy when you bring a group of people together, because it's a little bit like a sports team. And I often liken, the team that I work with, I often liken it to a game of football, a team sport. We are all players together. We've all got different strengths. There'll be certain days where one particular player is stronger and they can captain. And then there'll be other days where, do you know what, they need to sit on the bench because they're a bit injured. And so, in the world we're living in now, for a lot of people, injury could be around their mental health. They're just not up to scratch. Yeah. Or homeschooling got the better of them. And then the best thing is nobody's ever alone with that. It's a very safe community where people can access what they want and they can feel comfortable in an environment that genuinely is there to help support them.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the beauty of this company, because there aren't sale targets. People can order 1 month and not the next. So there literally is no pressure. It's down to each person. And I love the analogy of the sports team, because it is very much as well people playing to their strengths. And then we've got the coaching in areas where they need the help and someone helping their hand. And, working as a team, even from a leader's point of view, we all come with different skills, and mine definitely wasn't the retail skills, whereas it's great to be able to go to you, Gem, for ideas from your background and industry. And mine also isn't the product knowledge, but we've got equally people in the team like Tina, who we heard from on Nat's first Natter, whose background is a physio, and obviously she's far more scientific than me and can understand the products a lot more, so she's great at helping with those. And you don't need to have all of that knowledge at all. It's literally just learning and being open to working as a team and helping other people and getting alongside. So Gemma, if you can say what type of person you think is most suitable to this, what would you say? Because that's a question we're asked a lot, and we are both very different.
Yeah, it's not about somebody's background. It's not about the skills they possess now in their life. It is very much about the qualities of the individual. So, when I'm looking to work with somebody new, if they're saying to me, well, will I be successful? It's about their need to create a change in their lives for a reason that is important and personal to them. And it's about, somebody being really honest with themselves about how committed are they to that. Like anything in life, good things, and when you learn doing something new, it takes a bit of work, it takes a bit of practice, and our business carries huge rewards for those people who are prepared to stick to the training and bring a great work ethic. So the qualities, first and foremost, are around someone's need for change, and then it's about enjoying helping people.
And today, yeah, that's totally, just hit the nail on the head, really, the enjoying and helping people, because I was the person that joined this for just £200 per month. I didn't have a career I wanted to leave. I just wanted to be able to have some money to take the kids to the soft play, take them to the cinema. But the holding, the confidence that was instilled through the doing and through the achieving, and people showing you, for people to see me now, if my friends like that have known me for years are watching this, they would say, I'm a different person now in the way of my confidence, because I was very shy. I wouldn't have put myself out there at all unless I'd had a few glasses of wine and maybe I'm on the dance floor with Rach. But otherwise, I was shy. So I never imagined I'd be where I am now. And the majority, do just join this industry just for an extra bit of play money, an extra bit of paying off a credit card debt, or an extra holiday fund or all sorts right now. But having that bigger picture often comes through doing it. Whereas for you, Gem, you'd seen the bigger picture and knew what was achievable. But I'm sure in your team, you're working with people that see that straight away like you. But would you say more that see it like I did? I mean, or both of our structures are different, so.
Yeah, I think it goes back to where people are at in their lives in terms of what their need is or what their want is. You know, I had a desire to change. I was at a point where I was starting to tire myself out thinking about, am I going to be carrying this regret of never exploring starting my own business? So that, you know, my drive and that let's be bold and look at what forever can give was very much internal driven motivation. And there was, you know, there was a bit of pain around financial circumstances at home that, you know, Gary would work to create and change that. But I suppose I also wanted to take some responsibility and look at, okay, well, how can we use this vehicle? Hence why we started to use it together as a couple. You know, we've built our business together as a couple for, well, what's 6
so you
and a half
have
years.
more of a corporate confidence that I never had, that you brought into it, whereas, you know, I just didn't. So it shows it can work for both.
And I do think, you know, men and women are very different. So what I gained is I also gained a man's input, somebody's input who had been self-employed for 20 years. And that made a massive difference actually to the shape and the development of the business as well. That allowed me to get out of corporate. So that was also a huge strength behind the scenes and, you know, still is today. But no matter what, I will say at this, and then I'll come on to, you know, other people and their needs. I honestly don't believe that any level of career or success previously stops that feeling of vulnerability and that question you ask yourself of, can I do this? Because even though I had a corporate background, this was something brand new that I'd never done before. And, you know, that newness always brings with it, I think, that daunting feeling of, oh, what if this works for them, but not for me? And I know I am not the only one over the years who's felt like that, because I've worked with a lot of people with strong corporate backgrounds in different sectors to mine. And it's amazing how we all say at the beginning, you think, should I have committed to this? Because what if I can't deliver on it? Now,
as well, you know, if you put that the other way, you achieved in 1 year what it took me to achieve in 5 years. So, you know, you bringing a business head was very different to me, and confidence, you know. And I have to say, you know, when I was first working with you, I was thinking, oh shit, how am I going to help her? Because she's totally different to me. I'm a mum, you're corporate, but we all bring those different skills and work together, and it's just incredible, you know, what you can do.
Yeah, and going back to your point now of I joined the business, as in you joined the business to look for that extra couple of £100 to do that in a no pressure, don't make this an official, you know, stressy business. I just want to, you know, be able to take this at my pace to earn this extra couple of £100 a month. Most people are there. And I think we have to be very, very careful, particularly in our industry. Just because you have this uncapped, limitless income potential that anybody can access, you know, whatever level they want, it's really important that we don't forget the importance of actually what £200 to £300 represents, you know, because what that actually means is an additional income of £2,500 to £3,500 a year going into a household. And I think, well, there's nobody who I can think of, myself included, who wouldn't say that that wouldn't make a difference. And if it's not about their immediate family, it might be their extended family. It could be about what they can do in their community, based on commitments they've got, investing in their children. So I think we've got to be really clear about 200 to 300 is not some little amount. Actually, that's significant. And that coming into people's households consistently every month, yes, with a little bit of work, but with as little as 3 to 5 hours a week going in, that can make a massive difference.
And all you need is your iPhone or phone or whatever you're listening to on this now, and we can make it work. So, Gem, we've come to the end of our 30 minutes. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you with me, and obviously working alongside you all these years and seeing you achieve so much with Gary has just been absolutely incredible. And the team that you've got, the people that you've helped, and the stories that they share is just absolutely brilliant as well. So anybody listening or anyone that watches this later on, please get in touch with myself or Gemma or anyone that we're working with that's sharing this with you. And, you know, we'd love to give you a little bit more information so that you can make a decision that's right for you. And, you know, this might be nothing for you right now, like it wasn't for me for 10 years, but we all know people that could do with an extra couple of £100 a month. So you could be, you know, the lifeboat to them right now. So just reach out and keep safe, everyone. Keep indoors, and let's hope this is all over very, very soon. But hey, it has been wonderful for our company as well. So last words, Gem?
Ooh, Natalie, you put me on the spot. Last words. So I suppose my last words are a question, and it's a question for people listening in to say, this year, what difference do you want to make? What difference are you looking to make? And that might be for yourself personally. It might be within your family, or it could be something bigger and broader than that, which touches other people. But what difference do you want to make? And ultimately, how are you going to do it? What we have is, you know, it is an incredible vehicle, and that's what it is. It's a vehicle. And sometimes for people, it's a vehicle for a period of time that moves them from one point in their life to another point. You know, if people are ready to create a change and they are looking to explore options for the vehicle they want to use, there is never, ever any obligation to join, to buy a product, but it costs nothing to look. So feel free, you know, to reach out to Nat or reach out to myself. If we're working with people and you'd rather work with them and not us, because maybe we aren't the right fit for you, maybe it's somebody else who we're working with, that's fine. You know, we will connect you, and it's a great time at the beginning of a new year to have a little look.
Brilliant. Good evening, everyone, and see you next week. Next week will be nothing about network marketing. It's going to be about other industries that are thriving since the pandemic. So if you're in an industry that's thriving, maybe you've had to change your business totally, then please reach out, because I would love to share some information, some excitement from you as well. And, you know, we can all help each other. So who will we be listening to next week? We're going to be listening to a great guy called Dee, who I've been working with recently, who is an online social media website search engine whiz, along with my brother, whose business has thrived with his online sex shop. So I'll leave it there, and I'll catch up with you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.